again, everybody, and welcome to the Backbone Podcast, where common sense still makes sense in a world that is sick and getting sicker. And as we close out this 4th of July weekend, a great 4th of July weekend, and I hope it was a great 4th of July weekend for you. I hope there was a happy, safe, and fun weekend for you and you made a lot of memories with the ones that matter. It comes to a close now, as at the time of this broadcast, it is Sunday afternoon, maybe early evening. And this weekend, if you were a music fan, as I covered the broadcast yesterday, this was a tremendous weekend if you were a rock fan, with maybe one of the greatest tribute concerts I've ever seen. And I've been to a lot of big time shows. I've been to the 2 Woodstocks. I've been to a bunch of Lollapaloozas, a bunch of Ozfests, a bunch of Warped Tours. And they're all incredible because the performances are incredible. But last night, I was envious that I wasn't there. And if this was 30 years ago, if I didn't have kids and I had money to spare, I would have been in that crowd. That's how psychotic I used to be. But that concert, that's going to be a hard one to match. The performances were tremendous, and if you watched it, you got about 5 or 6 hours of great music. The beginning acts, I really didn't know who they were. They were mostly newer acts, or newer to me. But when the guys who I recognized came out, Anthrax, Slayer, Pantera, they were fantastic. And of course, that supergroup type lineup thing was great. Then they rise Ozzy out of the stage there, and that throne, and he does his solo performance. Metallica was fantastic. And they did Johnny Blade, which is an underrated Black Sabbath song, and they did it to perfection. And then, of course, Black Sabbath closes out the night. And God bless him, he's got the Parkinson's disease, and he really looked frail. And it was bittersweet, because it was almost like he was saying goodbye to us last night. But Ozzy looked very frail, very, very touched, very, very emotional. The guy from Slipknot also proposed to his daughter backstage after the show, which I thought was kind of fitting. Kind of cool that went down. But Ozzy, we can see that he can't perform anymore. Obviously, he can't do tours or U.S. tours or anything like that. But I will tell you that those guys, Geezer, Billy Ward, and especially Tony Iommi, man, were they tight. They were great. They look like they can still go. And who knows? Maybe they might. Maybe. The money's out there. The money's always out there. But to me, the people who stole the show were the Supergroup B. As I don't want to rehash what I said yesterday. But Steven Tyler was unbelievable. And Steven Tyler is a year older than Ozzy Osbourne, and he was bouncing around that stage like he was 25 years old. The first time I saw Aerosmith was 1987, 1988. A certain band that you might have heard of opened up for them, and that was Guns N' Roses. And if you ever saw the Welcome to the Paradise City video, that takes place in Giant Stadium. I was at that show. Of course, there were two shows. I think they just they took bits and pieces of the song from and made that video together. But I remember those days, the festival seating, the crowds, the drugs that were going around. It was a special time to be alive. And last night seemed like it was the final curtain call. A lot of these guys were really old looking. They were old. Steven Tyler, 77. Even Nino Bettencourt looked kind of up there. Tom Morello. I mean, Tom Morello's son was playing with, the hell's that moron's name? It's in Tenacious D. Jack Black. That dude, they did Mr. Crowley together. And he had the Randy Rhoads guitar that was in that iconic video that if you've ever been on YouTube and you want to see the Mr. Crowley performance live with Ozzy and Randy Rhoads, that black guitar with the polka dots on it, he had that guitar, that kid. I don't know how old that kid is, but my goodness, can he play? But that was what one of the reasons why this weekend was great. Friday night, of course, was the 4th of July, and if you got to see the fireworks, you did. They were great wherever they are. There were still people doing fireworks around me on the water off boats, which is not the smartest thing in the world to do. I have dog fur all over me. She's just shedding like crazy because it's so hot. But if you're a sports fan, and especially a New York sports fan, this weekend was a big baseball weekend because they have what we call the Subway Series between the New York Yankees and the New York Mets. Now, I'm doing a Yankee rant here because I've had it with this team. I've had it with this team for a long time now. They have, from top to bottom, been a ho-hum, mediocre, we don't care about winning championships team ever since the great boss George Steinbrenner passed away almost, I think, 15 years ago, 16 years ago. And of course, George Steinbrenner's birthday was on Friday, July 4th, and he was a very patriotic man, a great man. Yes, was he out of control at times? Yes, was he childish at times with his decision making? Yes, was he a bit petty? Yes, he was overbearing. But his whole fiber of being was the New York Yankees. And we always hear general managers or owners or players or commissioners. They always say, "We have the greatest fans in the world. We love our fans," and blah blah blah. It's all bullshit. George Steinbrenner, it wasn't bullshit with him. He loved the Yankee fan. He would threaten to take the Yankees out of New York on more than one occasion for the sole reason that he wanted a new stadium, but he also wanted parking for the fans. You can't park anywhere in the Bronx. It's just not possible. And he was thinking about moving them to New Jersey. He was thinking about moving them, to Yonkers Raceway, to rebuild the raceway and make it a stadium. There was even some crazy, insane talk about going out to Long Island, which would have never have happened. But he was so committed to winning for the fans that it drove him mad for a long, long time. Now, the Yankees were bad, and they weren't bad, but they weren't winning in the 1980s. And it was much harder to win in those days because there was only 4 divisions, and the team that finished first in their division went to the playoffs, to the ALCS and NLCS, and the winner of those series went to the World Series, and that was it. And the season was over in October, like it should be. Now the seasons end in November because half the teams in major leagues make it to the playoffs, just like all these other rinky-dink sports. But the fire that George Steinbrenner had, that commitment to winning at all cost, at any cost, is gone now. His first son, Hank, was sort of like him, but Hank passed away. And his other son, who was more passé, more, business oriented, he doesn't have that fire. He doesn't have that will. He cares about the luxury box seats being filled, the beer companies, advertising in Yankee Stadium, all the advertisements in Yankee Stadium. That's what he cares about. Make that money, and the Yankees make a tremendous amount of money. But as you can see here, as of this broadcast right now, they're playing the Mets, and they're struggling, and the Mets are running this bullpen game. It's a bullpen game for them where they throw all their guys in the bullpen out there as starters for a couple of innings, which is the stupidest thing. I don't know where this came from, but it's a thing now. It's just how baseball's changed. But they're struggling right now. But as you can see, there's a lot of L's there. A lot. Too many. They got swept by the Blue Jays in a 4-game series in Toronto. That's the first time that's happened in 28 years. And they've been getting shellacked by the Mets. They imploded on Friday night. They were absolutely embarrassed last night by the Mets, 12-6. Alonso hitting 2 home runs, a grand slammer by Nimmo. They just can't get out of their own way. And from what I'm just reading here, the Yankees just won. So Judge hits his 33rd home run. The double play started by Bellinger leads the Yankees over the Mets to stop a 6-game skid. All right, so the Yankees ended a 6-game skid. But over the last 22 games, with the exclusion of this one, the Yankees have lost 16 out of 22 games. They can't get out of their own way. And everything is just going wrong for them. Their pitching is a disaster. Now, they're going to probably lose their second pitcher of the year to Tommy John surgery, with Schmidt going out. It's now been confirmed that he will be gone for the rest of the year and maybe even half of next year. So now you lose Cole. Now you lose Schmidt. Who knows when Heel comes back? I'll believe it when I see it. The only guy that you have out there that you can rely on is Fried, and he's been lights out since the beginning of the season. He's going to come back down to earth pretty soon. This Rodon guy is just a waste. He can't win a big game to save his life. And all I keep hearing from the manager is, we're a great team. We'll be fine. We're in a bad stretch right now, but don't worry. We're gonna figure it out, and we're gonna clobber everybody. It's not happening. The Yankees are a team that unless they hit home runs, they can't win. They will bludgeon you to death. They'll score 14, 15, 16 runs in a game, and then when a good team, not a great team, not the Dodgers, but a team like the Mets, who they're not that great. The Mets pitching staff is terrible. But when a team like the Mets come around, or the Phillies, or the Tigers, when those teams come around and they play the Yankees in tough games, the Yankees lose. They can't play close games. They can't win in extra inning games. They can't run the bases. They make mistakes. They're making errors. A guy like Volpe, who is a solid, more than a solid shortstop and second baseman, great glove, gold glove winner. He's even making errors now because he's pushing himself too hard. He's reading social media. He's hearing the chirpings of the New York media and the New York fan. And upper management, the owner, and the manager, they could care less. Or at least that's the way they're making it seem. Because as long as those seats are filled, they're fine. As long as that money keeps coming in, they're fine. Now, Boone, the Yankee manager, has noted that the offense hasn't been the most pressing issue during this slide. They've scored runs, but they haven't scored them when it counts. They could be losing 6-0 and then score 5 runs in the 8th inning and then lose. You're still losing. I don't care if you're scoring 5-6 runs a game, you're still losing. Over the past 6 games, with the exclusion of today, Yankee starters have posted an 8.36 ERA. They've given up 26 runs in 28 innings, and their bullpen has been an unbelievable disaster. With an ERA of 11.65, 22 earned runs in 17 innings. That is death for any baseball team. You can't survive doing that. And the manager pats these guys on the back and says, well, we just have to do better. We're a better team than this. And we are going to do better. We're going to kill everybody. We're a great team. No, you're not. You're not a great team. You're not even a good team right now. You're not a first place team. Toronto is running amok right now. I think the Blue Jays have won 8 in a row. And Aaron Judge, who's been Herculean since October, since April. I mean, he hit a home run as we saw today. Sooner or later, he's going to slow down a little bit, And in August, that usually happens in August. There's usually those dog day slumps that come. But the Yankees, they're over under once Cole went out for the season was 90 to win 90 games. I don't think they're going to make that. And I'm telling you right now, if they don't fix what they must fix, and that's the roster and the pitching staff, I'll call it today. I don't think that they can make it. They'll make the playoffs with this current squad here. Now, are they going to get a good starting pitcher, a decent starting pitcher? Probably not. Not in this not in an in-season trade or a trading deadline move. But they're probably not going to get that. They're probably not going to get anything that is world-shaking. Can they get a third baseman? Yes, they can get a third baseman. Would it be great if they could go out and get McMahon, the second baseman, who's a leadoff hitter, who the Yankees need more than anything in the world, to play second base and to lead off, because LeMahieu is a disaster. He's a statue at second base. Yes, but he is going to be expensive. He's been expensive over the last 2 years because the Yankees have inquired about him a whole bunch of times, but he's just the Rockies just want way too much for him. And now the development of Clark Schmidt, not likely, he will be getting Tommy John surgery. So he'll be out for the year and probably parts of next year. And it's all shits and giggles in the front office. If George Steinbrenner were alive today, none of these guys would have been wearing Yankee pinstripes or walking into Yankee Stadium front offices 15 years ago. They would have been gone. They would have been gone 15 years ago. Brian Cashman is a disgrace. And everybody defends this guy. Oh, he keeps the Yankees viable. He keeps it. With the resources the Yankees have, they're always going to be competitive. And the way the playoff structure is created, the Yankees are always going to be up for a playoff spot. Always. They're never going to, unless they completely implode, they're never going to be out of it, but they're never going to win. Right? What's the point of getting involved in a season if you don't have the pitching, if you don't have the situational hitting, if you don't have guys who know how to run the bases, if you don't have guys who can make big plays on defense, if you don't have guys who can move runners over, who can get the big hit during crunch time in the 7th and 8th and 9th innings, if you don't have the guy in the bullpen who can get that big strikeout or get that big double play or close out an inning where the other team is coming close to tying or blowing a game open, because the Yankees don't have that right now. The Yankee bullpen is a disaster, and now we're starting to see guys whose names I don't even know. They have these weird numbers like 88, 91, and 76. They're coming out of the bullpen and they are getting tattooed like it's batting practice. And this is what the Yankees think they're going to go into October with. This is what the Yankee front office thinks that they're going to go up against the Dodgers with. Well, guess what? The Dodgers, don't forget about the Dodgers right now. You're not going to beat anybody. You're not going to beat Detroit with this team. The Tigers are a good team. And they have a top line horse in the front there with Struble. That dude is a monster, and they have a tight unit. They can play, and they can beat the Yanks easy. Now they have some maneuverability. They can put Grisham at second, maybe put him at third, maybe. There's talk about moving Volpe to second and putting Dominguez at short. Short at short. Dominguez can't hit for for a can of beans. And it's just very frustrating. Because if you look at the type of money that the Yankees demand to go to a ballpark, people aren't getting their money's worth. They had at one point a 7-game lead in the American League East, and that has now been evaporated by 2 games. And Boone goes to the media and he says, "We're still here. We're still breathing." What the fuck does that mean? It just drives me nuts how this guy he's nonchalant about everything. They're too comfortable. Brian Cashman, he's never going anywhere. He's going to die as a GM for the New York Yankees. He's been there 30 years. You cannot have a guy there that long. And he gets credit for that Yankee dynasty. He didn't put that team together. He didn't know who Mariano Rivera was. He didn't know who Derek Jeter or Bernie Williams, or he didn't make the trade for Paul O'Neill. He didn't make the trade for David Cohn. He was just a guy who got lucky. And he collected rings. And he's still there today, making the same nonsensical moves, getting guys who just swing for the fences, strike out, or hit home runs, and that's it. And guys who get hurt a lot. Judge gets hurt a lot. Stanton, forget about him. He's a disaster. That was the worst thing they could have ever done, was take Stanton off of Miami's hands. But they did it. Now, the trading deadline, of course, is on July 31st. That's less than 4 weeks away. And they're talking about the priorities that the Yankees are talking about is pitching, pitching, pitching. But you're not going to get that big pitcher without giving up something big. And the guy that everybody's talking about is this George Lombard Jr., he's tearing up Double A. Like, who gives a shit about Double A? Talk to me when he's in AAA and he's basically breaking down the door to get into Yankee Stadium. Then we'll see. And then we have to see him play at the major league level. Because a lot of these guys, they kick ass in the minors, and we've seen it all the time. They come to the majors and they shit their pants. The Yankees have to make a total overhaul of their roster, and they must concentrate on pitching and bullpen, because that's where they're in trouble. They don't do anything fundamentally correct. They can't move runners over. They can't build runs. They can't force pitchers to have high pitch counts and throw pitches, force them to throw strikes. They don't force bullpens into action. They don't do this anymore. They're a feast or famine, home run, strikeout team. And yeah, they're going to hit 5 or 6 of them in a game if you have a C, D, E type pitcher up there. Third, fourth, fifth string starter, or some bullpen guy. They're going to knock your head off. But what happens today when you have top line pitching going up against you, like the Dodgers had last year, and those home runs don't come? Then the Yankees implode, and then the Yankees are just toothless kittens. And we're seeing this over and over and over again. Now, they salvaged they salvaged themselves today with this 6-4 victory at Citi Field. If, again, I keep saying if George Steinbrenner were here, if the Yankees had lost today, or even the Yankees losing 2 out of 3 to the Mets at Citi Field, there would have been a meeting tomorrow. Or there would have been a meeting right now. He would have lost his shit. There would have been thunder. It would have been thundering in the Bronx. Because that man promised, he guaranteed that the Yankees would win. And he was he was the owner of the Yankees for about 35 years. The last 35 years of his life. He won 6 world championships and I think 9 pennants. It's pretty damn good. It's pretty damn good. That's more World Series wins than the Mets and Phillies combined in their entire history. So, as we end this 4th of July weekend, a good weekend, a fun weekend. We go back to work tomorrow, unfortunately. It's Monday. Who loves Mondays? I mean, how could you? We're thankful that this is the only thing we can argue about right now. The world is sick. It's crazy. Everything is just turning to shit, it seems. But at least sometimes we have sports that distract us. It's supposed to distract us. It's there for a reason. But we're going to close it out. I hope you had a great weekend. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Thank you again for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share. Be careful out there, my friends. Satan is busy. He's probably wearing pinstripes. Be a man. Have a backbone, because masculinity and common sense are worth standing up for. We'll see you later.